The stars looked different from the viewing deck of Station Kepler 442b. Jake Morrison had been to many neutral trading posts in his years as Earth's ambassador, but none felt quite as cold as this one. The metal walls hummed with recycled air and the distant thrum of artificial gravity generators. Outside the reinforced windows, 3 different alien ships floated in the void, their designs as foreign as their intentions. Lisa Hamilton stood beside him, her hands clasped behind her back in the military stance she never quite abandoned even in civilian clothes. As Earth's defense secretary, she had seen classified reports that would make most people lose sleep for weeks. Today, those reports seemed almost optimistic compared to what they were about to face. "They're late," Lisa said, checking her watch for the 3rd time in 5 minutes. "They always are," Jake replied. "It's a power play. Make us wait, make us nervous, make us feel small." He turned from the window and straightened his tie. "The Kethvar think punctuality is a sign of desperation." The main doors hissed open with a sound like escaping steam. 6 figures entered the room, each standing nearly 8 feet tall on legs that bent backward like a bird's. Their skin was the color of old leather, stretched tight over angular bones. 4 arms extended from each torso, ending in hands with too many fingers. But it was their eyes that unsettled most humans, large, black, and positioned on the sides of their elongated skulls like a prey animal. Except these creatures were anything but prey. Admiral Zexthar led the group, his uniform decorated with symbols that represented conquered worlds. Behind him walked his intelligence chief, 3 tactical officers, and a being Jake recognized as a translator. The Kethvar had perfected their entrance over 17 successful conquests. Walk slowly, move with purpose, let the silence stretch until the other species began to fidget. Jake had dealt with bullies before. He remained perfectly still. "Humans." The translator's mechanical voice filled the room with flat, emotionless words. "We are the Kethvar Dominion. You will listen." "We're listening," Jake said. His voice carried the easy confidence of someone who had negotiated trade deals with species that could crush humans with their bare hands, then gone home and had dinner with his family. Admiral Zexithar's head tilted in what might have been surprise. Most species showed fear by now. The Vegan crystal singers had begun weeping. The Altarian collective had started begging before the Kethvar had even stated their terms. These humans just stood there waiting. "Your world will submit to Dominion rule," the translator continued. "You have 72 of your hours to comply. Refuse and your species will be eliminated." Lisa stepped forward slightly. "That's quite an ultimatum." "What exactly does submission involve?" The Admiral's forearms gestured in a complex pattern that the translator rendered as mild amusement. "Your military forces will stand down. Your government will dissolve. Your population will be relocated to agricultural worlds where they can serve the Dominion's food production needs. Those who cooperate will live comfortable lives. Those who resist will not live at all." "And if we refuse?" Jake asked. "Then we demonstrate why 17 star systems now fly Dominion flags," Admiral Zexithar spoke directly, his voice a series of clicks and whistles that the translator turned into accented English. "Your primitive world has no fleet. No weapons that can reach beyond your atmosphere. No allies who would dare oppose us. What could you possibly fight us with?" Jake exchanged a quick glance with Lisa. In that moment, years of working together allowed them to have an entire conversation without words. She raised one eyebrow slightly. He gave an almost invisible nod. They had discussed this scenario dozens of times in classified briefings. "We appreciate your offer," Jake said with the same tone he might use to decline dessert at a dinner party. "But humanity must respectfully pass." The silence that followed lasted nearly 30 seconds. The Kethvar delegation made sounds that the translator struggled with before settling on the word laughter. It was not a pleasant sound. "Pass?" Admiral Zexthar's head swiveled to focus both large black eyes on Jake. "You believe this is a negotiation?" "Everything's a negotiation," Jake replied. "You want something, we want something different. Usually there's middle ground. The middle ground is that some of your species survives," the intelligence chief spoke for the first time. "Our scouts have surveyed your system thoroughly. 1 planet, primitive space stations in orbit, a few mining operations on asteroids and your moon. No military vessels beyond short-range patrol craft. No weapons platforms. No defense grid." Each statement hit like a hammer blow. "You have nothing to negotiate with." Lisa smiled, and Jake recognized the expression from their academy days. She wore the same look before she'd beaten the academy's boxing champion in 3 rounds. Maybe we're just not as impressive as other species, she said. But we'll figure something out. Admiral Zexthar's posture shifted, his forearms spreading in what their briefings had identified as a dominance display. You will watch your homeworld burn. Your people will scream as our weapons turn your cities to ash. And in those final moments, you will understand the price of refusing the Dominion's mercy. 72 hours, Jake said, checking his watch. We'll be in touch. The human delegation left without ceremony. No dramatic exits, no threats, no begging. They simply walked out as if they had just finished discussing quarterly trade agreements. Admiral Zexthar watched them go, his predator's instincts telling him something was wrong. In 17 conquests, no species had ever been this calm when facing annihilation. The Kethvar had perfected their approach precisely because it broke the spirit of resistance before the fighting even began. Sir, his intelligence chief approached carefully. Our deep scans confirmed their military assessment was accurate. They possess no fleet capable of challenging us. Then why do they seem so confident? The admiral clicked thoughtfully. Perhaps they are simply too primitive to understand their situation. Many species go through stages of denial when faced with inevitable conquest. Admiral Zexthar nodded slowly. Prepare the third assault fleet. 1,000 ships should be sufficient for a demonstration. Other worlds need to see what happens to those who refuse Dominion generosity. As the Kethvar delegation departed the station, none of them noticed the small listening device Jake had quietly attached to the underside of their meeting table. The device transmitted on frequencies that looked like routine station maintenance chatter. On Earth, buried deep beneath the lunar surface, Admiral Kate Sullivan received the intelligence briefing 3 hours before the Kethvar fleet even began moving toward Sol system. 1,000 ships, she said quietly. They're bringing 1,000 ships to conquer Earth. Her staff officers waited. They knew that tone of voice. Signal all commands, Admiral Sullivan continued. Operation Silent Harbor is now active. Time to show the galaxy what humans do to uninvited guests. The elevator descended through solid lunar rock for what felt like forever. Kate Sullivan watched the depth counter climb past numbers that would have impressed mining engineers. 3 kilometers down, 5 kilometers, 8 kilometers. Finally, at 12 kilometers beneath the surface, the doors opened to reveal a site that had taken 50 years to build. The command center stretched out like an underground city. Hundreds of workstations filled multiple levels, each one monitoring different aspects of humanity's greatest secret. Holographic displays showed ship positions throughout the solar system, from Mercury's orbital shipyards to the construction facilities hidden in the asteroid belt beyond Mars. The air hummed with quiet conversations, clicking keyboards and the soft beep of status updates from across human space. Nathan Price met her at the elevator, his uniform bearing the insignia of a commander who had spent more time in space than most people spent in cars. His weathered face showed the kind of calm that came from years of handling emergencies that could kill everyone within 1,000 kilometers if handled wrong. Status report, Kate said as they walked through the main operations floor. All 12 orbital shipyards are running at maximum capacity, Nathan replied, consulting his tablet. The conversion protocols are ahead of schedule. Captain Steve Rodriguez reports the deep space haulers are responding better than expected to weapons integration. They paused at a massive holographic display that showed the entire solar system. Each point of light represented a vessel somewhere in space. Most people looking at the display would see a normal merchant shipping network, mining ships moving between asteroids, cargo haulers running supplies to the outer colonies, passenger vessels carrying workers to the Jupiter orbital platforms. What they would not see was that every single vessel was now equipped with military-grade weapons systems. The Kethvar scouts were thorough, Kate said, studying the display, but they made one critical mistake. They assumed our civilian fleet was actually civilian. Amy Foster approached from the engineering station, her hands still stained with the kind of grease that came from personally overseeing critical systems. As chief engineer for the project, she had spent the last 5 years developing conversion protocols that could turn a mining ship into a warship in less than 6 weeks. Ma'am, we just completed modifications on the last Jupiter orbital platform, Amy reported. Every major shipping company has volunteered their entire fleet. Henderson Freight alone is contributing 800 vessels. Martinez Shipping added 600. Even the small independent operators are signing up. Kate nodded. She had expected this response from humanity's merchant fleet. Space was dangerous, and anyone who made a living in the void learned to handle problems that would kill softer people. Converting from hauling ore to hauling weapons was just another engineering challenge. Crew status? She asked. Every Space Force Academy graduate from the last 20 years has been recalled to active duty, Nathan answered. Reserve forces are at full activation. The mining unions have provided over 40,000 pilots with experience in asteroid field operations. Cargo companies contributed another 60,000 crew members familiar with long-range operations. Kate smiled. The mining unions had been especially eager to help. People who spent their lives breaking apart asteroids with explosives and precision tools had no trouble adapting those skills to military purposes. An asteroid miner who could place charges to split a rock along exactly the right stress lines could easily target the weak points of an enemy ship. What about the big haulers? She asked. Captain Rodriguez's voice came through the communication system from his ship somewhere in the asteroid belt. Admiral, this is Rodriguez aboard the New Texas. Conversion complete on all the bulk haulers. These ships were designed to move mountains, literally. Each one now carries enough firepower to match a Kethvar heavy cruiser, plus enough armor to survive a direct hit from their main guns. Kate walked to the strategic planning station where her senior staff had gathered. The display here showed detailed analysis of Kethvar military doctrine, based on intelligence gathered from the 17 systems they had conquered. They follow the same pattern every time, Lieutenant Commander Greg Mason explained. Arrive with overwhelming force, demand immediate surrender. Begin bombardment if refused. They've never faced significant resistance because most species build obvious military fleets that can be detected and countered. But we didn't build a military fleet, Kate said. We built 12,000 ships that look like civilian vessels because they actually are civilian vessels that can fight. The genius of Operation Silent Harbor lay in its simplicity. Instead of building warships that would be obvious to any reconnaissance, humanity had designed their entire space industry around vessels that could serve dual purposes. Every cargo ship could carry weapons instead of freight. Every mining vessel could use its industrial equipment as military hardware. Every passenger transport could become a troop carrier or mobile command center. Commander Mason pulled up another display showing the conversion statistics. Final count shows 12,400 vessels ready for combat operations. The Kethvar intelligence reports indicate they're bringing approximately 1,000 ships. Almost even odds, Kate said with a straight face, earning quiet chuckles from her staff. The truth was more complex than simple numbers. Human ships were converted civilian vessels, designed for different purposes than pure warfare. But they had advantages the Kethvar could not anticipate. Mining ships were built to survive in asteroid fields where a single mistake meant instant death. Cargo haulers were designed for reliability on journeys that might last years without maintenance. Passenger vessels were constructed with redundant safety systems that military designers rarely bothered with. Signal all fleet commanders, Kate ordered. Move to staging positions behind Jupiter and Saturn. I want the entire fleet hidden in the gas giant's sensor shadows. When the Kethvar arrive, they should see exactly what their scouts reported. A few orbital stations, some mining operations in a primitive world with no obvious defenses. Amy looked up from her engineering station. Ma'am, the weapon conversion crews report all systems are testing within normal parameters. The mining laser arrays have been recalibrated for anti-ship targeting. The cargo manipulation arms have been fitted with missile launchers. Even the passenger liners are carrying enough firepower to take out a destroyer. Kate nodded. The passenger liners had been an inspired addition to the fleet. Ships designed to keep thousands of people alive and comfortable during long journeys, made excellent command vessels, with communication systems, life support redundancy, and crew facilities that military ships could rarely match. What about the asteroid mining platforms? She asked. Those are our heavy artillery, Nathan replied with satisfaction. Platforms designed to crack open asteroids the size of mountains don't have any trouble cracking open enemy ships. We've got 200 of them positioned throughout the belt, all powered down and camouflaged. Kate walked back to the main display, watching the subtle movements as 12,000 ships quietly moved into position throughout the solar system. The Kethvar would arrive expecting to find a defenseless world. Instead, they would discover that humanity's entire space infrastructure had been designed as the largest military trap in galactic history. Time until Kethvar arrival? She asked. 68 hours, Greg responded. Then we wait, Kate said, and we let them think they're the hunters until it's too late to run. The darkness of space rippled like water as 1,000 Kethvar ships dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system. Admiral Zexthar stood on his command bridge, forearms crossed in a gesture of complete confidence. The Third Assault Fleet had never lost a battle, never faced serious resistance, never encountered a species foolish enough to refuse Dominion mercy twice. "Begin long-range scans," he ordered, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had watched 17 worlds burn. "I want a complete tactical analysis within the hour." The sensor arrays reached across millions of kilometers, searching for any sign of military preparation. They found exactly what the advanced scouts had reported weeks earlier. A handful of orbital stations around the third planet, some mining operations scattered through an asteroid belt, a few small facilities on the planet's single moon. Nothing that could threaten even a single Kethvar destroyer, much less a full assault fleet. Lieutenant Commander Greg Mason sat in the hidden Lunar Command Center, watching the Kethvar fleet's arrival on screens that showed every detail of their formation. The enemy ships moved with practiced precision, spreading into attack patterns that had been perfected over 17 successful conquests. "They're conducting standard reconnaissance sweeps," he reported to Admiral Sullivan. "No indication they suspect our true capabilities." Kate Sullivan studied the tactical display with the calm expression of someone who had been planning this moment for decades. "Maintain communication silence across all vessels. Let them think they control the situation." 12,000 ships waited in the darkness throughout the solar system. Behind Jupiter, converted cargo haulers powered down their engines and drifted like debris. In the asteroid belt, mining platforms shut down all non-essential systems and became invisible among the rocks they had been designed to break apart. Near Saturn, passenger liners floated dead in space, their crews waiting patiently in the silence that meant the difference between victory and extinction. Captain Rachel Murphy commanded the New Houston, a ship that had spent 15 years hauling iron ore from the asteroid belt to Earth's orbital foundries. The conversion teams had worked miracles, installing weapon systems that could punch through the armor of ships 3 times her size. Her crew of miners and cargo handlers had trained for months to use equipment designed for breaking rocks to break enemy vessels instead. "Remember," she whispered to her bridge crew, "we're just another mining ship until the Admiral gives the word. These modifications may look rough, but each of us packs more firepower than their best cruiser." The Kethvar fleet moved deeper into the system, their sensors sweeping space for any sign of resistance. They detected the expected civilian traffic, mining ships moving slowly between asteroids, cargo vessels following predictable shipping routes. Nothing that suggested military preparation. Admiral Zexthar opened a communication channel to Earth, his message broadcast on frequencies that every human receiver would detect. "Primitive humans, your 72 hours have expired. We detect no fleet capable of opposing the Dominion. Surrender now and your deaths will be swift." The response came from the lunar surface, transmitted with the kind of power that suggested serious communication equipment. Admiral Sullivan's voice reached across space with perfect clarity. "This is Admiral Kate Sullivan of the Terran Defense Force. You are trespassing in human space. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." The Kethvar bridge erupted in sounds that their translators rendered, as laughter mixed with disbelief. Admiral Zexthar's 4 eyes focused on the communication station with predatory intensity. "Terran Defense Force?" he clicked mockingly. "Our sensors detect no defense force, only the pathetic delusions of an inferior species. Begin the attack pattern. Target their orbital installations first. Let them watch their infrastructure burn before we eliminate their homeworld." His tactical officer hesitated at the sensor station. "Sir, I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the outer system." "Define unusual," Zexthar demanded. "Power sources activating throughout the asteroid belt. Similar readings near the gas giants. It could be their mining operations responding to our presence." Admiral Zexthar dismissed the concern with a gesture that had become habit over 17 victories. Primitive industrial equipment failing under stress. These species always have infrastructure problems when faced with superior force. Proceed with attack formation. The Kethvar fleet began moving toward Earth in the pattern that had worked perfectly against every previous enemy. Heavy cruisers in front to absorb any desperate resistance. Destroyers spread wide to prevent escape. Command ships safely in the rear to coordinate the bombardment that would reduce human civilization to ash and memory. What they did not notice was the subtle change in the energy signatures throughout the system. Mining platforms that had been powered down for weeks suddenly showed the faint heat bloom of reactors coming online. Cargo ships drifting in predictable patterns began making minor course corrections. Passenger vessels that had been following routine schedules started transmitting coded signals on frequencies that looked like standard shipping. Coordination. Captain Bill Carter had spent 20 years operating mining platform Denver Station, using massive industrial lasers to break apart asteroids that were too big for conventional explosives. The conversion teams had upgraded his equipment with targeting systems designed for moving targets instead of stationary rocks. His crew of miners and engineers had practiced the transition from asteroid processing to ship killing until they could make the switch in less than 30 seconds. Unknown vessels, he transmitted on standard emergency frequencies. You are outnumbered 12-1. Stand down and prepare to be boarded. Admiral Zexthar stared at his communication station in confusion. 12-1? Are they unable to count their own pathetic fleet? His sensor officer was frantically recalibrating equipment that should have been detecting any significant military presence. Sir, the energy readings are getting stronger. I'm showing active targeting systems throughout the system. From mining equipment and cargo haulers, Zexthar snapped. Ignore their desperate attempts at psychological warfare. Continue the attack. Commander Tony Phillips aboard the converted cargo ship Phoenix Rising had hauled everything from luxury goods to industrial equipment across the solar system for most of his adult life. His ship could carry 10,000 tons of cargo or, with the new modifications, enough weapons to destroy a heavy cruiser. His crew of cargo handlers and navigation specialists had learned to operate missile launchers with the same precision they used for loading freight. Kethvar, fleet, he transmitted with the calm professionalism of someone discussing shipping schedules. Welcome to Sol system. Population currently too many humans for you to handle. The Kethvar tactical displays began showing something that should have been impossible. Energy signatures throughout the solar system were resolving into what appeared to be weapons locks. Hundreds of them. Then thousands. Ships that their sensors had classified as harmless civilian vessels were suddenly broadcasting the electronic signatures of armed warships. Admiral Zexthar felt the first cold touch of uncertainty in a military career built on certainty. How many ships are targeting us? His sensor officer's voice trembled as he read numbers that made no tactical sense. Sir, I'm reading active targeting locks from 12,400 individual vessels. All armed, all positioned to engage us from multiple vectors. The Admiral stared at displays that showed his fleet surrounded in 3 dimensions by a force that outnumbered them more than 12-1. Every asteroid could be hiding weapons. Every seemingly innocent cargo ship could be a disguised warship. Every mining platform could be a fortress. This is impossible, he whispered. Our intelligence showed no military construction, no fleet, no weapons. His intelligence chief approached with data tablets that contained information gathered by the most advanced reconnaissance systems in the Dominion. Sir, it appears their entire civilian infrastructure was designed with military conversion capabilities. Every cargo vessel, every mining ship, every transport has been weaponized. They have been planning this deception for decades. The moment that changed galactic history forever began with 4 simple words from Admiral Kate Sullivan, transmitted from the hidden command center beneath Luna's surface to 12,000 ships scattered throughout the solar system. Execute Operation Silent Harbor. Throughout human space, the darkness came alive with light. Mining platforms that had drifted like dead metal among the asteroids suddenly blazed with the energy signatures of military installations. Cargo haulers that had been following routine shipping patterns dropped their camouflage and revealed weapon systems that could crack planets. Passenger liners powered up communication arrays designed to coordinate fleets instead of entertainment systems. Captain Helen Brooks commanded the massive ore processor Titan's Forge, a ship designed to break apart asteroids the size of mountains and refine their contents into useful materials. The conversion teams had worked for months to transform her industrial equipment into weapons of war. Her particle beam systems, originally built to slice through solid rock, now targeted the Kethvar fleet with precision that made military designers envious. This is Captain Brooks of the Terran Defense Force, she transmitted to the alien fleet on all frequencies. You have exactly 2 options. Surrender now and be treated according to interstellar law, or continue your aggressive posture and discover why Earth never developed a large military fleet. We didn't need one when every civilian ship can become a warship. Admiral Zexthar stood on his command bridge, staring at tactical displays that showed his worst nightmare coming true. The sensor readings made no sense according to everything the Dominion knew about military science. 1,000 Kethvar ships, representing decades of military construction and the finest weapons technology in known space, were surrounded by 12,000 human vessels that had appeared from nowhere. "Status report," he demanded, his forearms trembling with rage and something that might have been fear. "Sir," his tactical officer replied, voice shaking, "we are surrounded on all vectors." Multiple targeting locks from vessels ranging from small converted transports to massive industrial platforms. Each ship is broadcasting military identification codes and weapon signatures consistent with heavy combat capability. The intelligence chief approached, with data that made the situation even more impossible to understand. "Admiral, our analysis indicates these vessels were not built as warships. They appear to be converted civilian craft. Cargo haulers equipped with missile systems, mining ships with military-grade energy weapons. Even passenger transports are showing armed escort capabilities." Admiral Zexthar felt 17 successful conquests crumbling into a tactical nightmare that no Dominion commander had ever faced. "How did they hide so many ships?" "They didn't hide them, sir," the intelligence chief replied quietly. "They were never hidden. Our scouts observed these exact vessels during reconnaissance. We classified them as civilian infrastructure because that's what they appeared to be. What we failed to detect was their dual-purpose design." Captain Ryan Kelly had spent 15 years operating the mining vessel Asteroid Queen, using precision explosives and cutting beams to extract valuable minerals from rocks that could kill his entire crew if handled incorrectly. The military conversion had been surprisingly simple. Equipment designed to break apart asteroids worked perfectly for breaking apart enemy ships. His crew of miners and technicians had adapted to military operations with the ease of people who already lived with life-or-death decisions. Every working day, "Kethvar, fleet," he transmitted with the calm professionalism of someone who had spent years working in an environment where one mistake meant instant death. "This is Captain Kelly of the Terran Defense Force. Your vessels are surrounded and outgunned 12-1. Power down your weapons and prepare to receive boarding parties. Any attempt to engage will result in the complete destruction of your fleet." The Kethvar fleet found itself in a position that their military doctrine had never anticipated. Every tactical manual assumed that superior numbers and firepower would guarantee victory. No Dominion commander had ever faced an enemy that could field 12 ships for every one of theirs. Admiral Zexthar opened a communication channel to his fleet commanders, trying to maintain some semblance of military order. In a situation that had become completely chaotic, all ships maintained defensive formation. "Do not engage unless directly attacked. We need to assess this situation before taking action." His sensor officer was working frantically to understand the tactical display that showed impossible numbers of enemy contacts. "Sir, I'm detecting weapon signatures that match or exceed our own heavy cruisers. These converted civilian vessels are equipped with military hardware that rivals our best warships." Captain Sandra Lopez commanded the luxury cruise liner Vacation's End, a ship designed to carry wealthy passengers on scenic tours of the outer planets. The conversion teams had replaced passenger amenities with command and control systems that could coordinate squadron-level operations. Her crew of hospitality professionals had learned military procedures with the attention to detail that had made them excellent at keeping customers happy during months-long voyages. Unknown vessels, she transmitted to the Kethvar fleet with the same polite firmness she had once used to handle difficult passengers. "You are in violation of Terran space. This is your final warning to surrender. Any hostile action will be met with overwhelming response from forces you cannot hope to match." The tactical situation had become clear to everyone except Admiral Zexthar, who still struggled to accept what his sensors were telling him. His fleet of 1,000 ships, the pride of the Dominion military, was surrounded by a force 12 times larger. Every attempt to find an escape route revealed more human ships blocking their path. Every scan for weaknesses in the enemy formation showed overlapping fields of fire that would destroy his fleet within minutes if fighting began. Commander Tony Phillips, aboard the converted cargo ship Phoenix Rising, had transported everything from foodstuffs to industrial machinery across human space for most of his career. His ship had been built to survive the harsh conditions of interplanetary travel, with redundant systems and armor designed to protect valuable cargo from cosmic radiation and micrometeorite impacts. The military conversion had enhanced these natural advantages, creating a vessel that could take punishment and keep fighting. Kethvar Command Vessel, he transmitted directly to Admiral Zexthar's flagship. "This is Commander Phillips. We have your entire fleet under our guns. Your weapons cannot penetrate our defenses. Your numbers cannot match our firepower. Your tactical position is hopeless. Surrender now and save the lives of your crews." Admiral Zexthar realized that the humans were offering him something no Dominion commander had ever received from a conquered species. They were offering mercy. After threatening to destroy Earth and enslave its population, the humans were giving him the chance to surrender with honor intact. "Sir," his tactical officer said quietly, "our combat computers project zero probability of victory. We are outnumbered, outgunned, and surrounded. The humans have achieved complete tactical superiority." The admiral looked around his bridge at officers who had served with him through 17 successful conquests. Each face showed the same expression of disbelief mixed with the professional assessment that their military careers were about to end in either surrender or death. "Open a channel to the human fleet," Admiral Zexthar said, his voice carrying the weight of a decision that would echo through galactic history. "This is Admiral Zexthar of the Kethvar Dominion 3rd Assault Fleet. We request terms for surrender." The response came immediately from Admiral Sullivan on Luna. "Terms are simple, Admiral. Power down all weapon systems, maintain current positions, and prepare to receive boarding parties. Your crews will be treated according to interstellar law. Your ships will be impounded pending diplomatic resolution. You have my word that no harm will come to personnel who cooperate with surrender procedures." Throughout the Kethvar fleet, weapons powered down and defensive systems switched to standby mode. 1,000 ships that had arrived expecting easy victory now waited in defeat, surrounded by a human fleet that had revealed the most successful military deception in galactic history. 6 months after the surrender of Admiral Zexthar's fleet, the galaxy looked very different from the observation deck of Unity Station. Jake Morrison stood watching ships from dozens of different species dock at what had once been 3 captured Kethvar cruisers, now converted into the largest diplomatic facility in known space. The irony was not lost on him that Earth's first major diplomatic triumph was being conducted aboard enemy vessels that had arrived expecting to destroy his homeworld. Ambassador. Morrison now held the title of Secretary of Galactic Affairs, a position that had not existed before the Sol System incident changed everything about interstellar politics. Representatives from 43 different species had requested meetings with Earth's government, within weeks of news spreading about humanity's hidden fleet. Some came seeking alliances, others hoping to understand how such a massive military force had remained undetected, and a few trying to assess whether humans posed a threat to their own territories. "The Altarian collective delegation has arrived," his aide informed him, pointing toward a docking bay where crystalline beings were emerging from a ship that looked like it had been grown rather than built. "They're requesting immediate audience regarding defensive partnerships." Jake nodded, still amazed at how quickly the galaxy's power structure had shifted. 6 months ago, most species had never heard of Earth. Now, every major government wanted to establish diplomatic relations with the civilization that had revealed the largest fleet in galactic history. Admiral Kate Sullivan entered the observation area, her uniform now bearing insignia that marked her as Supreme Commander of Terran Defense Forces. The promotion had been inevitable once the Galactic Council formally recognized Earth as a major military power. Her responsibilities now included coordinating defense agreements with 17 different species and managing a fleet that had grown to over 15,000 ships as more. Civilian vessels underwent military conversion. Status report from the Kethvar. "Prisoners," she said, joining Jake at the massive windows that showed the bustle of interstellar diplomacy in action. "Admiral Zexthar has been cooperative with intelligence gathering. The information he's provided about Dominion expansion plans has been invaluable. The former Kethvar admiral was being held on Luna's new maximum security facility, built inside the same rock formations that had hidden Operation Silent Harbor. His cooperation with human intelligence officers had revealed the true scope of the Dominion's plans for galactic conquest. Earth had been intended as the first step in conquering the entire Orion Arm. with plans to enslave or eliminate over 200 billion intelligent beings across 50 star systems. Captain Sandra Lopez had volunteered to command the prison facility, her experience managing difficult passengers on luxury cruises translating surprisingly well to handling alien prisoners of war. Her converted cruise ship Vacations End now served as the administrative center for the facility. Its former entertainment systems, repurposed for monitoring and communication with the galaxy's most dangerous military criminals, the Galactic Council has reached a decision regarding Earth's membership application, Jake said, consulting his diplomatic briefing materials. Unanimous approval for full membership, with immediate inclusion in the Security Committee. They're also requesting that we chair the new Military Assessment Division. Kate smiled at the irony. The same species that the Kethvar had dismissed as primitive and defenseless were now being asked to evaluate the military capabilities of other civilizations. The Sol System incident had demonstrated that traditional methods of assessing military strength were dangerously inadequate. What about the other Dominion fleets? She asked. Intelligence indicates they've stopped all expansion operations, Jake replied. Word of what happened here has spread throughout their territory. Several conquered systems are reporting independence movements, and at least 3 Dominion fleets have requested asylum with neighboring species rather than face potential human intervention. The psychological impact of the Sol System incident had exceeded every projection. The Kethvar Dominion, which had built its expansion on a reputation for invincibility, now faced rebellion throughout its territory as conquered species realized that even the mighty Dominion could be defeated. The image of 1,000 Kethvar warships surrendering without firing a shot had become the most famous military footage in galactic history. Commander Nathan Price approached from the communications center, his expression showing the satisfaction of someone whose years of preparation had finally proven worthwhile. As Earth's new director of fleet operations, he coordinated the activities of converted civilian vessels that now served as the backbone of human space defense. Sir, he addressed Admiral Sullivan, Captain Rodriguez reports successful completion of the Vegan Crystal Singer escort mission. The Dominion raiders withdrew when our ships appeared on their sensors. No shots fired. This had become the new pattern throughout the galaxy. The mere appearance of ships broadcasting Terran Defense Force identification codes was enough to end most conflicts before they began. Species that had never heard of humans 6 months ago now considered Earth's protection the ultimate deterrent against aggressive neighbors. Captain Ryan. Kelly had become something of a celebrity throughout human space, his mining vessel Asteroid Queen serving as the flagship for exploration missions that pushed the boundaries of known space. His crew of former miners had adapted to their new role as military explorers with the same practical approach they had once used to find valuable minerals in dangerous asteroid fields. The scientific community is requesting expanded exploration missions, Nathan continued. They want to catalog potentially hostile species before they become threats. Intelligence suggests there are at least 12 civilizations with expansion plans similar to the Kethvar Dominion. Kate nodded. The galaxy had proven to be far more dangerous than anyone had suspected. Earth's defensive preparations, originally intended to protect a single star system, had revealed a universe filled with species willing to conquer and enslave others. The humans' hidden fleet was not just protecting Earth anymore. It was becoming the backbone of galactic peacekeeping. What about the conversion program? Jake asked. Ahead of schedule, Kate replied. Every major shipping company has volunteered additional vessels. The asteroid mining unions are providing platforms faster than we can equip them. Even the luxury travel industry is contributing. Ships for command and support roles. The success of Operation Silent Harbor had proven that humanity's approach to space development was uniquely suited to military conversion. Other species built separate civilian and military fleets, making their defensive capabilities obvious to potential enemies. Humans had accidentally created the perfect military deception by designing their entire space infrastructure around vessels that could serve multiple purposes. Captain Helen Brooks had been promoted to Commodore of Heavy Operations, commanding the massive industrial platforms that had been converted from asteroid processing to fleet support. Her experience managing equipment designed to break apart mountains had translated perfectly to coordinating the logistics of maintaining the largest fleet in known space. The bottom line is simple, Admiral Sullivan said, watching ships from across the galaxy dock at Unity Station. We've gone from being unknown to being the primary military power in this region of space. Every aggressive species now has to consider whether their conquest plans are worth facing 12,000 human warships. Ambassador Morrison checked his schedule for the day ahead. Meetings with the Rigelian Trade Federation, the Centauri Defense League, and the newly formed Coalition of Independent Systems. Each group wanted military cooperation agreements, trade partnerships, or protection from the various threats that filled the galaxy. The irony is perfect, he said. The Kethvar thought Earth wouldn't fight back. They were right in a way. We didn't fight back because we had been preparing to fight back for 50 years. When they finally forced us to reveal our capabilities, they discovered that every human cargo ship was a potential warship, every mining operation was a disguised military base, and every peaceful civilian was trained to operate in conditions that would kill most soldiers. Admiral Sullivan looked out at the busy space around Unity Station, where former enemies now worked alongside new allies under the protection of humanity's revealed fleet. Admiral Zexthar was interviewed by Galactic Media last week. His quote is already famous throughout known space. Jake smiled, remembering the interview that had been broadcast across 40 star systems. What did he say again? We thought Earth wouldn't fight back. We were wrong. They didn't fight back because they had been ready to fight back for decades and we were too arrogant to notice. Every human cargo ship was a warship waiting to happen. Every mining operation was a military base in disguise. We didn't invade a defenseless world. We walked into the largest military trap in galactic history. The Sol System incident had established Earth as a major galactic power overnight and served as a permanent lesson to aggressive species throughout known space. Sometimes the most dangerous enemies were the ones who appeared completely harmless until 12,000 ships suddenly surrounded your fleet and politely suggested you